Welcome back to week 5 of Virtual Moment of Science.
And today we're going to be exploring the crystallization process.
We certainly are.
And we're going to be making rocks.
Rocks that you will want to eat because they're made out of candy. And who doesn't like candy?
So we're making rock candy.
Yay!
Okay.
Okay.
So let's go over our materials.
Let's get started.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to need is we need 2 to 3 cups of sugar. So we have our sugar, Imperial brand.
I bought the brand name product this time.
Yes, we had some issues with the store brand. Okay. We have an assortment of food coloring.
Exactly, whatever you like.
Yes. We have a Pyrex with water in it.
We sure do.
We have a
saucepan or skillet. I guess this isn't officially a skillet, right?
Yeah, or frying pan.
A frying pan. I'm not a big cook, as you can tell.
I couldn't tell.
Ideally, you can use a saucepan for this.
We have some measuring cups.
Measuring cups.
We have a large spoon to stir. We have some
skewers.
Cut in half.
Yes.
Because we took out the pointy part.
We took out the pointy part to avoid injuries.
Right.
And we have
a hot plate.
A hot plate or your stovetop.
Which would be a perfect time to tell the children that they have to
have their parents help them or a grown-up.
Definitely with this one.
Yes, for sure.
And then we need this nice jar.
Okay, so our first step is we are going to take 1 cup of water and go ahead and pour it into our skillet. And then I'm going to take our Imperial brand sugar and use a cup of that as well. So it's going to be equal amounts, and I may make a little bit of a mess because I tend to do that.
Now while we're letting the sugar water cool, we're going to prep our sticks for the rock candy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some sugar into a pile. I got a piece of parchment paper here. I'm just going to make a little pile. Okay. And then I'm going to take one of my sticks and I'm going to dip it in the water. And then I'm just going to take some more and get those wet too.
And it really just has to be that one end, right?
Yeah. And then I'm going to kind of like roll it in there to get some sugar on there. What do you think?
That looks good.
Okay, and then I'm going to set this kind of like that.
Perfect.
And then I'll do another one. We just have to let those dry, and then we'll be ready to make our rock candy. Okay. So we let our sugar and water mixture cool overnight, and kind of an interesting thing happened. It kind of crystallized, which is kind of cool. And then we also let our skewers with the sugar on them cool, and so they're completely dry. So now we're ready to start the next process of our rock candy. So first thing I'm going to do is you can notice that there's kind of a crust on our sugar water, and I'm going to kind of break it up like that. The sugar has actually started to crystallize, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to stir it. It's very thick and gooey now, and that's because like we were talking yesterday, the liquid is completely saturated with sugar. So our mixture is very thick, and you can kind of see it's goopy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this liquid into my jars very carefully. Okay, so now that we have our sugar water in our jars, we're going to add some festive colors. And I'm going to use red and yellow because I was an Arizona State Sun Devil, and that is the best school. It's certainly not Florida, which is where Miss Sarah went, but we won't say anything about that. We'll just let her discover that later. Okay, so now we have 3 sticks and 2 jars. So we're going to take this handy rock candy clipper, otherwise known as a clothespin, and we're going to very delicately balance it into the jar of sugar water. And you have to make sure that the sugar, it's not all the way touching the bottom, and they're stuck in there because we want them to come out really pretty. And we'll do this, and we'll stick this one in, and we're going to delicately balance it like so. And then we have an extra one, so we'll make another red one. And we'll stick that in there. And now we get to wait a whole week and see what happens. So it's been a whole week, and now we get to see the results of our work.
Okay, I am ready, Miss Mary.
So
let's get a close up here.
Here is our first rock candy stick. And if you recall, the reason why we put a stick in there and we rolled it in the sugar was the sugar crystals needed something to grow on. So they grew on the stick, and so you have your little rock candy there.
Okay.
And then we made 2 more over here. And you can kind of see real close, you see the little crystals?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can see those.
And it didn't work exactly the way we thought it would work. So we're thinking that if you want to try this at home, Miss Sarah did some investigating, and it might work a little better if you use distilled water. We thought we used a lot of sugar, but we used regular tap water. So maybe that is why the crystallization didn't happen exactly the way that we had planned.
But it still worked.
But it still worked, and it's delicious, and I can't wait for Sarah to have some rock candy. So what is going on in our amazing experiment?
Well, there are 2 things at work here, Miss Mary.
Okay.
The first is that we are creating a super saturated solution.
Means that we put more sugar into our mixture than the water molecules could hold.
And the only reason our water was able to hold that much sugar is that we raised the temperature really high. We made it hot.
We made it hot.
That made it temporarily able to hold a bunch of sugar, but once that water cooled
and evaporated,
it became the extra sugar basically just kind of burst out of the water, and then it was accumulated.
Yes, and it accumulated on our sticks.
On our skewered super saturated solution and evaporation. We're both at work here.
Okay. We also have
a DIY experiment for you guys to try on your own, and feel free to let us know on our social media how that went.
Very excited.
And that's it for this week.
Yay!
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.